Right now at 6, the city of Joplin bestows the honor of a street renaming on a longtime resident.
And we got another hot one out there. Beautiful looking start to the day, though. We'll take a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, we'll meet a dairy farmer in Kansas that says he was milked out of the business.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Elise Noe.
And I'm Chris Warner. I want to take a moment to address something that many of you probably saw this week. And I haven't said anything to Doug about it. So, during our noon newscast, sometimes I like to put, we have different icons for holidays. I put turkeys on the buildings in downtown. It looks amusing. What I have learned is apparently that saves across the board. I thought it would only mess with we have our own profiles, okay?
Yeah.
So I kind of figured, you know, it's my own, it'll save there, not his.
Just goofing around, yeah.
Yeah, just having some fun. And as it turns out, that wasn't the case because poor Doug on Monday during the 10 o'clock news was trying to talk about Tropical Storm Alberto and ended up with a very large turkey on his weather map.
Yes, the back of the turkey almost attacked him in a way on his screen, and so he was surprised.
He was, and I would have been too if I was him. So, Doug, I send my apologies if you're watching this morning. I did not realize that the turkey festivities would spread across the entire weather system, but apparently they did. So I won't put any more turkeys out there.
Turkey Day came a little bit early.
It did come a little early. So again, Doug, my apologies, and apologies to you at home. We're also caught off guard by why he was drawing a giant turkey on the Gulf Coast. Let's move on from turkeys. Let's talk some turkey. It's going to be hot today. You're welcome. Are you going to be able to move forward from here? Nope. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. Look, it's almost Friday. We have to have some fun. We're waking you up in the morning. We want you to have a good start to your day. So she's lost it. She is done. This is a live look from our camera on the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. Here comes the sun. Beautiful colors in the sky for this sunrise, and temperatures much better. MoDOT camera 32nd and range line looking good as well. Today we're looking at variable clouds. Some of you may have mostly clear skies at periods, but otherwise partly to mostly cloudy skies. As you can see, future tracks showing that possibility of a pop-up shower out there. But again, based on the trends here lately, we haven't really seen much, so let's not expect much at this point. That's when, of course, it might actually rain, is when we're not prepped for it, is when you'll get caught under one of those pop-up showers. Temperatures this morning, though, again, better than where we were earlier this week. Upper 60s and low 70s. Unfortunately, today is the first day of summer, and summer is going to really start to kick in. Highs today right about 90. Heat index values about the mid-90s, and again, partly to mostly cloudy skies as we head through the day. Summer really kicks in next week. Temperatures getting dangerously hot as we head into next week as well. We'll break down details on that in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right. Thanks, Chris. Well, Joplin Fire and Police were called to a serious crash at 7th and Maiden Lane last night around 9:20 p.m. Multiple patients were transported to area hospitals with unknown injuries. The intersection was closed to all traffic while authorities conducted their investigations. It was determined that one car traveling west on 7th Street turned in front of another car heading in the opposite direction. All lanes of traffic resumed around 11 p.m. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, you can download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Well, Joplin honors one man's public service with a ceremonial street naming. J.D. Love is a lifelong Joplin resident and served in a variety of public service roles for decades. Love served as a Joplin police officer for 28 years and served as Jasper County coroner for 2 terms following his retirement. Yesterday, Love was recognized with a ribbon cutting and street sign unveiling on McKee Street, where Love grew up. The tribute was organized by Easttown Dreams District in partnership with the city of Joplin, and more than 100 people came to celebrate Love's commitment to the community.
He is just what you would call a true legacy in Joplin, a true legend in Joplin.
You know what? That makes me feel great. Yeah, because as an officer, I've met all kind of people, you know, and seeing this make me, I must have done something right.
Love signs will be added to the existing signs along McKee Street as a ceremonial naming. Residents will not have to change their address. In the last 5 years, the state of Kansas has lost more than a quarter of its dairy farms. But on the flip side, the number of cows in the remaining herds are increasing. KOAM's Tanya Bach looks into the shift and introduces us to a now former dairy farmer who says he was milked out of the business.
Dang, you're 70 years old, so there. I know you invested $3 million or $4 million, whatever you want to invest in having a big tombstone, I guess, basically.
The tombstone Richard Amershak is referring his livelihood for over 50 years, the Amershak Dairy.
Back then, it was kind of do pretty good at it. People just started out just, milking an old barn somewhere. Then they got the health regulations got so stringent. You had to pretty much build a new barn and pretty good facilities.
In 1974, Amershak and his brother built their new dairy barn.
We turned them out in nice weather. That way it'd be off concrete. Concrete's hard on cattle. And concrete's hard on everybody.
They started with 100 cows and eventually built their herd up to milking 150 cows every day, 16 at a time.
You're there every day. If you're not there, somebody's got to be there.
No matter if it's a holiday or if Mother Nature decides to be a friend or foe.
20 below or 120 above, or the wind blowing 50 miles an hour north or 50 miles an hour to the south, you're just there.
The occupation of running a dairy herd is labor intensive. And so the fact that, a lot of our families that used to be dairy, that had the family at home that was doing that, they've had to do other things. They've had to go out and get other jobs, or the kids have moved off and haven't come back to the farm.
Did you have any kids that were interested?
I didn't have nobody. I never been married. Nobody'd have me. I'm going to die a lonely, happy old man.
Amershak says it wasn't just the labor that wore on he and his brother.
The milk companies that buy your milk are more picky than the state inspectors. I mean, if you happen to find any antibiotics in your milk, you have to buy the whole truckload.
As we see these dairies become larger, they have the ability to do it more efficiently and more economically than some of our smaller dairies have. And so it is one of those things that we are seeing. The number of dairies that we're seeing across our state is diminishing, but the number of cows is not.
We just hung everything up, even after the last ticket there. We just hung everything up and walked off.
Oh, so this was the last load that went out? This one here?
Yeah, just a partial load.
October 2021, 742 pounds headed to a processor in Springfield.
I think maybe I'll go skate over here.
Knowing the bigger farms were milking out his chances of retiring exclusively as a dairy farmer, about 15 years ago, Amershak started to diversify. He runs a few beef cattle and leases the majority of his land for hunting.
Yeah, I'd have to replace everything. I'd run several $1 million, so I decided just to spend the rest of my life on booze and women. So.
Closing the dairy farm chapter of Amershak's life and hopefully turning the page to a little relaxation. Reporting in McCune, Kansas, Tanya Bach, KOAM News.
In 2018, Kansas had 280 dairy farms with 158,000 milking cows. Today, there are only 209 dairies, but the number of dairy cows has increased to 175,000. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Louisiana will now be the first in the country to display the 10 Commandments in classrooms. Plus, flames have now burned around 1,400 structures as a result of the New Mexico fires. And Chris Warner returns with another look at your Thursday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from downtown Pittsburgh ahead of the 620 celebration. Topping Nation Watch this morning. Supreme Court justices are due to go on summer recess in just days and not return until October. In the meantime, the White House is bracing for a U.S. Supreme Court ruling on another historic case on abortion. This one focuses on whether federal law to provide emergency care can override state abortion bans. The Biden administration sued the state of Idaho, which allows exceptions to its abortion ban when the life of the mother is at risk. The administration argued that federal law requires the state to allow an abortion if it's needed to stabilize a patient, even when the mother's condition isn't yet life-threatening. Idaho argued the Biden administration is trying to retrofit the federal law known as EMTALA to create a nationwide abortion mandate in hospital emergency rooms. Well, all public schools in Louisiana will now be the first in the country to display the 10 Commandments in classrooms. Republican Governor Jeff Landry signed the bill into law yesterday. The requirement will impact all schools receiving state funding from kindergarten through university. The poster must be at least 11 by 14 inches, and the text of the commandments must be the central focus of the poster in large, easily readable font. Many civil liberties groups announced plans to sue Louisiana in response to the law. They argue it violates the First Amendment's freedom of religion, and Governor Landry called the bill one of his favorites before signing it. Well, newly obtained documents show Boeing knows a bird strike can cause its 737 MAX airplanes to fill with smoke. The manufacturer sent warnings to Southwest and American Airlines about the issue in February. Boeing says it has 2 reports of this occurring, and if a large bird hits one of the engines, it can cause oil to burn. Smoke and fumes from that burn may then enter the cabin through the plane's air conditioning system. The Federal Aviation Administration is aware of the problem and says it's working with Boeing on it. A second person is dead as a result of the New Mexico fires. Officials say the flames have now burned around 1,400 structures. State officials say much needed rain to the region may help firefighter efforts, but they are not out of the woods just yet, and the moisture is now adding new hazards for first responders. CBS News' Duarte Geraldino has the latest from New York.
Storm clouds and raindrops in New Mexico bring hopes of relief from 2 massive fires that have charred more than 20,000 acres since Monday. But the weather also raising the threat of high winds and flash floods. Officials now warning people who live nearby, get to higher ground.
We are not out of the woods. And while this weather is helpful to the fire, not helpful to the floods.
New Mexico's governor on Wednesday confirming at least 1,400 structures have burned, and that number may include around 500 homes.
Non-stop sirens.
Christopher Bride and his mother are choosing to stay close to their Rio Doso home and wait out the blaze.
We have a few animals. We're right here next to the hospital, and we
still
figured,
have power, we still have Wi-Fi.
Their neighbors and thousands of other people heeded the warnings to evacuate.
We are very concerned about the potential loss of life. We know that there are several people still unaccounted for.
60-year-old local musician Patrick Pearson died in the fire. His children are now trying to convince others, get out before it's too late.
No way is an easy way to go out, but a wildfire is just so traumatic and devastating. And this isn't a joke. If they tell you to go, you need to go.
The state police are investigating the death of a second person whose remains were found in a burned car on Tuesday. Duarte Geraldino, CBS News.
New Mexico Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury says the entire congressional delegation for the state has sent a letter to President Joe Biden asking him to sign an emergency declaration for the fires. She believes that declaration, which would bring in more federal resources, could come by the end of the day. And that's a look at some of today's top national stories. Here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
And we got another hot day out there for us. A few more clouds, though. Skywatch Storm Tracker showing us clouds across the area. Not everybody with cloudy skies this morning, but will be variable clouds throughout the day. And we could still see a pop-up shower or two here or there, but I think most of us will be dry. However, the clouds for some giving us a beautiful start to the day. We'll have another full look at your forecast and just how hot it's going to get when we come back.
Well, the city of Saginaw, Michigan is about to boast one of the largest murals in the world. The innovative project involves the complete transformation of a city eyesore, old and unused grain silos. A world-renowned artist is working on his masterpiece there. Terry Camp has the story.
It started about almost 2 years ago now.
That's when Saginaw area business stalwarts Larry Preston and Mark Flegenheimer had an idea.
You know what? I think there's an opportunity for us to do something with these old tired silos. Let's paint a mural on them.
The painting has begun as Spanish muralist Okuda San Miguel is in town to create what Preston believes will be the second largest mural in the United States.
He's internationally known. Many think he may be the greatest muralist in the world. And we convinced him to come to Saginaw.
I am used to travel around the world and do that things, but I am very happy to be here because it's my biggest wall ever.
His biggest mural ever, as it will cover 66,000 square feet and will take a few weeks to complete.
It's a very quiet place to work, I can do very focus on the creation.
The project will cost about $900,000.
100% private money, either private foundations, private individuals, zero tax dollars.
The city is really alive right now. You can feel the buzz.
Ben Champagne is putting together Sunday's dedication ceremony.
We're going to have a big community gathering here. We're going to have a concert. We're going to do a dedication. It's going to be lovely.
We wanted the bright colors, the geometric figures, non-representational, and he's really knocked it out of the park.
Mark Flegenheimer was impressed when he saw a similar project in Indiana, and he hopes everyone that drives through this part of Saginaw will be impressed as well.
At a minimum, as they come over the bridge, I want to put a smile on their face.
We wanted to create something that just, when you look at it, Terry, it just has great joy feeling.
The lead artist explains that the project was a collaboration with 5 Michigan artists who added their own touches to the design. Certainly beautiful. Now here's Chris with a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, got a beautiful start to the day out there, but it is going to be another hot one, unfortunately, and it's going to be even hotter next week. Break down the details in the full forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 6:24 now on this Thursday morning. We are starting with the future track. We're looking at variable clouds today. So as you can see, some of you may see moments of mostly clear skies with just plentiful sunshine overhead, but we're otherwise, for the majority, looking to be partly to mostly cloudy. Future track, again, trying to show us the opportunity of a few pop-up showers, but based on trends lately, we haven't really seen those materialize, so I wouldn't necessarily count on a pop-up shower or two, but just a heads up, it is showing up again on the future track. We go into the overnight, we will be mostly cloudy across the area, and then Friday, as you see as well, a couple of pop-up showers possible here and there, and then we'll actually start to clear out a bit by Friday evening, and then we'll see a few more clouds as we head into the overnight hours on Friday. Our UV index today is sitting at a 10, which is very high. Burn time for unprotected skin is 10 minutes, so make sure you're taking appropriate precautions if you have to be outdoors. Our heat risk today, minor to moderate. So again, the minor is heat index values about 90 to 95, and the moderate is heat index values about 95 to 100. Now, as we head into Friday, as you can see, we see more moderate overspreading the area, and we're starting to see a few splotches of major here and there, and that major is heat index values of 100 to 105. By Saturday, moderate everywhere and more major showing up, especially into our far western counties. By Sunday, major now overspreading the area, and by Monday, we now have extreme. That purple color is the extreme there, and so what the extreme is heat index values above 105. So we're talking dangerous, potentially deadly heat. By Tuesday, look at the extreme continuing to overspread the area with major everywhere else. So you've got to make sure you're taking precautions if you are outdoors. And really next week, if you can avoid being outdoors, probably a good idea. Some quick tips and reminders, again, with your pets, make sure you're doing early morning walks. A morning like today is a perfect opportunity to do that. Make sure they're indoors otherwise. Keep your kids hydrated. Water, Pedialyte Pops are a great way to do that. Next week, they're not going to like it, but you need to keep them indoors in all honesty. If you do have to be outside, if you're an outside worker or you've got stuff you've got to do, make sure you're taking frequent breaks, finding shade, and of course, staying hydrated. And make sure you're also checking on the elderly because like children, they're very susceptible to this kind of heat. A great shot from our camera, 7th and range line as the sun rises. 70 degrees in Joplin. Winds are calm. And it's going to be a light and variable southeast breeze today, so no real relief from the heat there. Our temperatures this morning, again, if you do jogging, taking the pets for the walk, whatever the case may be, now's the time to do it. Upper 60s, low 70s out there, and we're going to warm up quickly as the sun goes higher into the sky. Variable clouds through the morning, about the mid-80s by 11 o'clock, and as we head into the afternoon, highs about 90 degrees, variable clouds out there, and those heat index values, again, mid-90s, maybe some upper 90s. Mostly cloudy skies through the evening and into the overnight, back down in the low 70s, and then take a look at next week. Temperatures start going into the upper 90s. That's why the extreme shows up on that heat risk map, because if our highs are approaching 100, we're talking heat index values 105, maybe 110, possibly a little higher in some cases. So again, make sure you're taking care of yourself. Could see some morning storm Sunday. Otherwise, just some slight pop-up storm chances next week as well. That's Check Your Forecast. Now here's Elise with Health Watch.
Thanks, Chris. Well, researchers at the National Institutes of Health have developed a non-chemotherapy drug treatment for people with aggressive B-cell lymphoma. They say the drug combination reduced tumors substantially in 26 of 48 patients, with 18 people having their tumor disappear entirely. Additional drugs may be added to the mix, hoping for even better results. A common treatment for urinary problems may one day be used to help people with a certain form of dementia. Researchers at the University of Iowa say 3 drugs used to treat enlarged prostates show promise in patients with dementia with Lewy bodies, a disorder that can cause memory issues, movement problems, and hallucinations. This study says there's a hope the drug could block brain cell death, and currently there are no treatments for this type of dementia. And new research looks at why some people get COVID and others don't. In their study, European researchers suggest high levels of a certain gene before exposure help people prevent a sustained infection from taking hold. They say a greater understanding of immune responses may help develop vaccines that mimic these natural protective responses. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 6:30, KCU Joplin hosts a MASH camp for potential medical leaders of tomorrow.
And we've got another hot day out there. A little more cloud cover at times might help some, but it's going to be toasty. We'll have a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, a pair of kid-friendly robots hit the Carthage Public Library for a fun learning experience.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:31. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Chris Warner. It is now a Thursday, June the 20th here in the 4 states. And today, the official first day of summer.
Even though it's been feeling like it for quite a while.
It certainly has, unfortunately. And I really hate to be the bearer of bad news. If you're just tuning in, you haven't seen anything prior to this, when we get to the full forecast a little later this morning, Mother Nature is going to go, oh, today's the first day of summer, and she's going to crank up the heat to potentially dangerous levels as we head into next week. So at least today, it's still going to be hot. It's going to be uncomfortable, but not nearly as bad as it's going to get next week. We'll go into all that a little later, but let's get you out the door first this morning with this. This is a live shot from MoDOT camera. Now, it's at 32nd and range line, but they've got it zoomed in and pointed west toward Arizona there. And as you can see, we're looking pretty good. We had some sunshine, but again, we've got variable clouds, so that will help at least keep you out of the sun a little bit. But as we head through the day, some of you will have opportunities for mostly clear skies, but most of us are going to be partly to mostly cloudy. Future track, again, showing the opportunity for some pop-up showers. And like I said, over the last few days, I've even waited on the kids to get off the bus for summer school. I've watched these cumulus clouds billow right in front of me. they just haven't done anything. So we're not going to count on it happening, but it's a remote possibility of a pop-up shower as we head into the afternoon. And we'll hold on to those variable clouds heading through the evening. Temperatures this morning, now's the time. If you've got some running to do, as in errands, or if you go jogging, you want to take the pets for a walk, now's the time to do it because it is not going to be this pleasant over the next several days. Upper 60s, low 70s as we start the day. Highs today, right about 90 degrees with the variable clouds out there, and that's going to push our heat index values mid, potentially upper 90s, getting close to that 100-degree mark. As we head into next week, though, we're not kidding. We're telling you about this now just as if we had a big snowstorm coming next week or a severe weather event. The heat can be just as dangerous as any of those things, and we've got some very serious heat next week. We'll break down the details on that in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, Kansas City University in Joplin showed some high school students what it takes to work in the medical field. The MASH Camp event introduced 9th through 12th graders to different healthcare career options with plenty of hands-on learning. Students got to tour the various labs and facilities, everything from the emergency room to ambulances to a mock operating room.
We are on day 2 of our summer MASH Camp, and so MASH Camp is basically just an opportunity for high school students, preferably, to stay engaged with the sciences and healthcare career options, and we just kind of like to give them some opportunities to get in the hospital or to get in the facilities, get their hands dirty, see what different departments are like and things that they would potentially be doing.
Event organizers hope to encourage high school students into the medical field in rural Missouri, where there is a shortage of both physicians and dentists. Well, the Carthage Public Library had a couple of new visitors. Robots Dash and Dot dropped in on patrons to help teach kids about STEM and STEAM. The pair demonstrated such things as navigating a maze and responding to individual voices. Event organizers hope the two can encourage kids to have fun and continue to learn during the summer break.
STEM and STEAM activities are becoming so important in everyday life. They incorporate so many different aspects of the learning process, and we like to work toward that, or to work with the schools for the summer to keep kids reading and using their brains, doing math, doing science, to keep their brains active so they don't fall into what's called the summer slide.
The Community Foundation of Carthage provided a $4,700 grant to fund robotics programming for the summer. Well, on your marks, get set, float. Some McDonald County High School students made waves with a boat building competition. They put their cardboard and duct tape watercrafts to the test by trying to float across a pool with at least one person on board. The idea of the summer school project is to teach engineering principles, encourage creativity and teamwork, and of course, to have some fun.
They have more fun and they're learning while they do it. It's that whole hidden learning activity thing, and they're supposed to be in summer anyway. You should have fun in summer, and if we can incorporate learning with fun, it's a great time to do that.
Yesterday's race tested functionality and durability of the creations, and on a muggy June day, getting wet in the pool was of course an added bonus. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Roughly 15,000 U.S. car dealerships were unable to complete sales yesterday due to a major hack. And we have another hot and partly cloudy day today. We'll have what to expect with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. But first, here's a live look from downtown Pittsburgh ahead of the 620 celebration. In Consumer Watch this morning, Minnesota is gearing up to issue some of the first cannabis business licenses since lawmakers legalized weed last year. Caroline Cummings sat down with the interim cannabis chief about how the rollout is going.
deputy commissioner for the
Charlene Briner leads what she calls a scrappy startup.
As I say often, we are not bored at the Office of Cannabis Management.
The brand new government agency tasked with oversight of the legal cannabis market set to officially fire up next year. The Office of Cannabis Management, she says, is scaling up staff and getting ready to issue the first business licenses later this summer.
I would say that there is a high level of interest in the work that we're doing.
Next Monday, OCM will open up a process to verify if Minnesotans qualify as a social equity applicant. People like veterans, farmers just starting out, and those convicted of possession or sale of cannabis before it became legal. If approved, they can apply in July to be among the first considered for an early license through a lottery. There's a set number to be awarded.
Well, I think that people who don't make it through the lottery will likely be disappointed. However, it's not their only crack at the apple, right? This is pre-approval. There are going to be multiple additional rounds.
Thanks to changes at the Capitol this year, those given the green light to be cannabis cultivators can grow the first commercial plants this fall. Growers will still need approval from local governments and have an inspection before those seeds go into the ground.
We want to make sure that we're getting at least a number of months head start for the product to be grown, to be cultivated, to be processed, so that there is actually a product on retail shelves.
Well, Snapchat will pay $15 million to settle a California lawsuit that accused the social media platform of discriminating against its female workers. The case, brought by the state civil rights department, also alleges that the company failed to stop workplace sexual harassment and retaliated against women who complained. The settlement must receive court approval, and the state says the bulk of the money will go to the impacted women who've worked at Snapchat over the last 10 years. Well, roughly 15,000 U.S. car dealerships were unable to complete sales yesterday due to a major hack. CDK Global, the company that provides dealerships with software to manage their sales and payroll, temporarily shut down some operations due to the cyber breach. The software company said some systems were back up and running by late yesterday. And ice cream lovers can beat the heat with a sweet treat from Kroger. The grocery store chain is celebrating the start of summer by giving out 50 free pints of store-brand ice cream for every minute of sunlight today. Kroger says that's about 45,000 pints or 900 minutes. Fans can go to freekrogericecream.com to claim their coupon while supplies last. And that's it for Consumer Watch. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
Yeah, again, another hot day out there. Nice start, though. The temperatures are very manageable right now. We've got variable clouds across the area, and when the sun was a little lower this morning, gave some great colors out there. That was our camera on the Cornell complex. This is the MoDOT camera, 32nd and range line, pointed back to the west. Also looking fantastic. Again, we'll have variable clouds throughout the day, so some of you may even have moments of mostly clear skies. And the future track again showing that possibility of a pop-up shower or storm, but we really haven't seen any of those truly materialize here over the last few days, so I wouldn't count on it. But as you know, if you don't plan for the rain, that's when you're going to get caught under one. But just be aware, a stray shower or two possible as we head into the afternoon and early evening hours. And as I mentioned, temperatures more manageable this morning, upper 60s, low 70s. So if you've got some running to do, either you're running to the store or literally running, now's the time to do it. Taking your pets for the walk, now's the time to do that as well, as we have highs today heading about 90 degrees, and again, variable cloudiness, so partly to mostly cloudy skies. Heat index values mid, potentially upper 90s. We're going to break down details on our forecast, talk about just how hard summer's about to hit here in just a few minutes. Also, we're going to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. Those are coming up after this break, but first, let's do like we always do at this time. Check in and see what's happening on CBS Mornings.
I'm Tony DeCopo. Coming up on CBS Mornings, in part 2 of our series, Facing Fertility, we look at a new program that could help women pay for freezing their eggs if they donate half of them. It's an alternative option that's giving some families some hope. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
Welcome back. Time for some Thursday birthdays in the 4 states. We're starting in Chetopa with Trevor Bruce, celebrating birthday number 7. Happy birthday, Trevor.
And over in Girard, a happy 24th, I can't talk today.
It happens. It happens to me all the time.
The 24th birthday to Zach Evans. who is also the nephew of Mike Evans, celebrating a birthday today from Frontenac. He's turning 51 today. And it says happy birthday to these two great guys from their families. Happy birthday, you two.
Absolutely. What a special day. And over in Columbus, Tiffany Hutto celebrating birthday number 34. Very happy birthday to you, Tiffany.
And back over in Frontenac, a happy 60th birthday to Kenny Krumsick. It says, we love you, Kenny, Kay, Kelly, Karen, Kurt, and families.
And in Lockwood, Missouri, Florence Spark celebrating birthday number 95. Says happy birthday from your family.
And over in Columbus, happy birthday to Kathy Layson.
And also in Columbus, the party is in the bus today. Scott Sullivan celebrating another year wiser. Happy birthday to you, Scott.
Yeah, party is definitely over in Columbus today because Marilyn Pope of Columbus is also celebrating a birthday. Happy birthday, Marilyn.
And Paul Westervelt celebrating another year wiser. Happy birthday, Paul.
And Sally Umfenauer over in Riverton also celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday, Sally.
All right, another fantastic list of birthdays and anniversaries. And of course, we would like to celebrate with you. What do they need to do, Elise?
Yes, go ahead and submit your birthdays and anniversaries to birthdays@KOAMnewsnow.com. Be sure to include any messages and to, of course, meet the deadline that you see there at the bottom of your screen.
Absolutely. That's to make sure that your birthday or anniversary airs on the right date. All right, give me 1 second here, Tim. I apologize. I was looking at something, and that's what happens when you get distracted. There we go. Let's start with the future track, and as we head into the afternoon, again, we're going to have the variable clouds across the area. So again, some of us may have mostly clear skies for moments through the afternoon, but as you can see, the bulk of us will be partly to mostly cloudy. We'll also have that opportunity again for pop-up showers or storms. So I'm going to tell you right now, chances are very low. And what we've seen here lately is we've seen the clouds even get going. We've seen those cumulus clouds. They just haven't been able to produce. And that's unfortunate because we need some rain, but do just keep it in mind that we could see a stray shower or two as we head into the afternoon, early evening. Mostly cloudy skies overnight. We head into Friday, similar situation, variable clouds through the day, and another opportunity for a few stray pop-up showers or storms. But again, at this point, I would not count on that. And then as we head into the evening, we actually start to clear out as we had late evening on Friday ahead of a few additional clouds overnight. Now, our UV index today, a wee bit better than yesterday. It is at a 10. That's still very high. Means the burn time is 10 minutes for unprotected skin out there, so do make sure you are taking precautions if you've got to be outdoors. Our heat risk today is in the minor to moderate zone. So again, the minor is heat index values approximately 90 to 95, and the moderate is heat index values 95 to 100. So it is going to be hot. It is going to be uncomfortable out there, to say the least. And as we head into this weekend and next week, summer is really going to hit hard. And this is, I'll show you exactly what we're talking about here. So by tomorrow, a little more moderate, couple of major. The major is heat index values of 100 to 105. By Saturday, moderate over the entire area, a little bit more major, especially into our western counties. Then we see that major risk shift across virtually the entire area by Sunday. So we're talking everybody dealing with heat index values possibly 100 to 105. Monday and Tuesday are 2 days that we are most concerned about at this point because this only goes out so many days. But on the heat risk, you see that purple? That's extreme. That's as high as this thing goes. That's Monday. This is Tuesday. More purple out there and more major across the entire area. The purple is heat index values in excess of 105 degrees. And given our possible temperatures next week, that is definitely a possibility. So again, we keep showing you this because any way that we can go with every day we go without a story about somebody getting ill from the heat or dying from the heat means that this is at least reaching somebody out there. Take your pets for early morning walks. Make sure they're indoors otherwise. Keep your kids hydrated. Next week, definitely keep them inside. If you've got to work outside, make sure you're taking frequent breaks and staying hydrated. And, of course, check on the elderly as well. They're very susceptible to this kind of heat. Current temperature is 70 in Joplin. The winds are calm. And, again, those variable clouds out there and a much more manageable start to the day. Best time to do all of that errand running and jogging and everything else is right now. Upper 60s and low 70s across the area. And I do want to go ahead and I'm going to show it to you again, but I wanted to very quickly touch on the extended for next week. This is what we're talking about. we head into next week, we've got highs upper 90s approaching 100 degrees. We'll go into all this again here in just a moment, as well as the news you need to know. And when you join us for Fox 14 at 7 a.m., now you've done it to me, Elise. We'll see why one Florida resident is receiving recognition for playing ping pong.
Well, here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. J.D. Love of Joplin was honored yesterday for his service to the city with a ceremonial street name. Love was a Joplin police officer for 28 years and was a Jasper County coroner for 2 terms following his retirement. Love was recognized with a ribbon cutting and street sign unveiling on McKee Street, where Love grew up. Kansas City University in Joplin showed some high school students what it takes to work in the medical field. The MASH Camp event introduced 9th through 12th graders to different healthcare career options. Students got a tour of the various labs and facilities, and everything from the emergency room to ambulances and even a mock operating room. The H5N1 avian flu, or bird flu, has been spreading across the U.S., Europe, and Asia. Both wild and domestic animals have been affected, along with the dairy cattle. At least 4 herds in Kansas have been affected by the virus, and Kansas has implemented a strict movement rules for lactating cows that require both a certificate of veterinary inspection and a negative milk test. If you're worried about eating beef that has been infected, proper cooking recommendations will incapacitate the virus. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And as mentioned, it's going to be another hot one today. Temperatures about 90, variable clouds, heat index values mid 90s, maybe some upper 90s out there as well. As we enter the evening, mostly cloudy skies through the evening and overnight, back down to the low 70s. And then as we mentioned earlier, boy, next week, it really heats up. Could see some morning storms Sunday, pop-up storm chances next week as well. But the biggest concern, those highs going up close to 100. So that's why that extreme shows up on the heat risk map, because we're talking heat index values 105 to 110 degrees easy next week. So please make sure that you are taking care of yourself. That's dangerous, potentially deadly heat next week.
Absolutely. Well, coming up today at noon, we're making secret ingredient iced tea in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Sorry, sometimes when he names his stuff,
I'm
now
right there
curious.
with you.
I'm curious as to the secret.
You'll just have to watch the
ingredient.
noon.
Yeah, we will. Well, your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings Ahead. A look ahead at what to expect if you're planning on traveling for the 4th of July, and why AAA says it'll be the busiest travel day ever for the holiday.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, Captain William Davis of the Joplin Police Department joins us in the studio to talk about motorcycle safety.
Plus, Susan Stolte and Tiffany Kotzman also join us in the studio to talk about Labette Community College's respiratory care program. However, it's going to wrap it up for us for now. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 5.
And today at noon.